Hi everyone, I'm Ravit Dennis. I'm from Microsoft from the Real-Time Intelligence Event House team. And today I want to talk to you a little bit about how do you talk to your data and how do you do that using our recent AI features that we have developed in Event House. So on our agenda are the RTIMCP. I'm going to talk a little bit about, we're going to do an overview and show you how do we use it to do root cause analysis and get some insight on your data. And then how do we use it to prepare your data for AI. Then we're going to talk about the data agent integration with Kusto and explore data in Kusto. Stay tuned. So I'm going to start first with explaining what's an MCP. So MCP is an open source protocol developed by Anthropic to guide interactions between agents and tools. Why not use an API? Well, because then each tool would have a different interface, because every API has its own interface. Then agents would have needed to implement every tool separately. So, and think of an MCP as a USB-C for a laptop. So a laptop is able to talk to different devices, whether it be storage or cameras. They all have different APIs, but using the USB-C that they're connected to, the laptop is able to talk to all of them the same way using the USB-C protocol. So think of the MCP just the same as you think of a USB-C. The MCP wraps up different APIs, whether it be Event House or Event Stream, and then using the MCP, the different agents are able to talk to them the same way. So here in Real-Time Intelligence, we have our own MCP server, the RTIMCP. It wraps up APIs of Event House and Event Stream. And we also have coming up some other artifacts like Activator, Real-Time Hub, Dashboards, Query Set, and others are coming soon. So we're using the RTI MCP. You can connect to three third-party MCP clients like Root, Claude, or Klein, or you can build your own first-party agents yourself and use the RTI MCP. And then the RTI MCP, as I said, wraps up our Event House and Event Stream APIs. For instance, ingestion in Event House, getting the schema, executing the query, or creating an event stream and on an event stream artifact. So our RTIMCP is an open source on GitHub. Feel free to scan this QR code to download it and try it out yourself on your laptop. So I'm going to focus here a little bit about the event house side of the RTIMCP and what its capabilities are. So it allows you to pose open-ended questions and really talk to your data and receive insights on your data. It allows you to do root cause analysis on problems that you find on your data, peaks and any issues that you see. And it also helps you simplify your data preparation, whether it just be, easily ingesting the data and then restructuring it and doing all of that with natural language, or you can do something we call prepare it for AI. And we're going to talk a little bit about this later. So before I want to show you a demo on the Real-Time Intelligence MCP, I'm going to do that demo using KDA. I'm going to show you how the RTIMCP solves a KDA question. Now, I'm hoping every one of you that are listening to this, this recording are familiar with the Kusto Detective Agency. But if you're not, then it's a really good free tutorial for you to try to test your knowledge of query language. And it's really cool because it's helping you see some real life scenarios and test your knowledge over query language and other RTI tools. It also gives you some hints and tricks and guides you along the way. So feel free to give it a try. Now, what I thought would be cool is, what happens, I wanted to see what happens with the agent if I just copy paste a question from the Kusto Detective Agency, and I'm not going to take an easy one. I'm going to take a more difficult one and see whether it's able to just solve that question by itself. And before I'm going to show you the demo, let's understand the question itself. So the question talks about detectives. Every detective solves a case and gets a bounty. And the bounty is awarded only to the first detective that solved the case. Actually, this is the catch of that question that a lot of people are missing. Um, and they're missing it from the data. By the way, it's not something that the question talks about. It's something that you have to realize by yourself. And I thought it would be interesting to see if the agent is able to find it out by itself. And the question asks you to locate the detective with the highest bounty. So this is the Kusto Detective Agency site. What I did is I just copy pasted the question itself. And then I went to the GitHub Copilot to my agent. Let me hit start. So I'm copying it, going to my GitHub Copilot, just pasting the question as it is. And the only thing I'm adding is please take a good look into the data and explain each step for me to understand what you're doing. So the first thing it's doing is it's slipping through the list of clusters that are connected to it. Then for every cluster, the list of databases it has, and for every database, the list of tables that it has. And the first thing I really like to see is it's able to find the detective cases table that are pre-populated with the data. And hey, I added a lot of junk in that cluster, so it's really cool that it was able to find it. So then it's looking through the sample data, sampling the data a little bit, the schema itself, and it's able to find 4 types of events that are interesting and relevant: the case opened, the case assigned, case solved, and the case unsolved. And so it's identifying that the open event has the bounty information that the question talks about. So that's pretty cool. Now, as you can see throughout, it's doing a bunch of things, but it's doing all of that using KQL language. And sometimes it gets the query wrong, and it's not executing, but it's able to realize that, and it's able also to fix itself and correct itself. So that's pretty cool. Now it's joining the detective earnings with the data of the solved cases. And finally, it notices that identifies that different detectives can solve the same case. And I told you that's the catch of the question. So going back to the original question, it understands that only the first detective gets the bounty. So now it corrects itself and gets the ultimate champion after joining all the information. And bingo, it just finds the right detective. Now, the thing I also like about it, that it doesn't just give me the detective itself, which you can see around here, but it also gives me a lot of other information that I didn't necessarily look for, but it's really interesting for me to look and understand and validate the final answer. And what I also really like about it is it's showing me all the thought process for me to really get a trust into what it's doing and make sure it's doing the right things. And when it's not, I can just go and correct it and tell it, I don't think you did that right and that right. But I really like the fact that it's really showing me the thought process as if I solved it by myself. Okay, so we were able to take a Kusto Detective Agency non-easy question and just paste it onto my agent, and it's able to solve it using the RTIMCP pretty easily. So that was cool. But what happens if I'm asking a question that the agent is not able to get me the answer for? And then I know that the data has information that I was looking for, but the agent is not able to get that information. So what do I do in that case? So let's start with seeing a case where that happens. Okay, so again, on my GitHub Copilot, I'm shifting away from the Kusto Detective Agency cases into the world of telemetry and memory usage. And what I'm going to ask it is, let's get the memory usage of a certain cluster that we have, and let's get both total and inner memory of that cluster. So again, what it's doing is looking into the schema again, looking into the data, and it's looping through some ideas, but eventually it's just not able to get me the answer that I'm looking for. So I just hit cancel here. So what would I do in that case? In that case, I would like to teach the LLM a little bit more about my queries, my data. And what I want to do is, anyway, the cluster is storing all of the queries. So I'd like to take a set of golden queries, and then I'm going to filter only on KQL experts that I really trust that, if they're running a query, probably they wrote it well. And I'd like to explain these queries so that the LLM would understand what they are doing and when to use them. And then I'm going to do something called embedding, which essentially takes the explanation and translates it into something that LLM can understand and use later. And then I'd like to take all of that and ingest it into a KQL table so that the LLM will be able to use it whenever it needs to. So now I'd like to show you how I take all of that and I just do it with a single prompt. I just do all these steps with just a single prompt. So going back to my agent, I'm asking it to get some high quality shots. Shots are just like examples. Filter it on KQL experts, which is a table that I populated with experts that I trust, and take only the 20 best shots, 20 best examples. So now it's getting me the queries, the list of queries, good queries, and filtering it out on the KQL experts. And now it's explaining these queries, and it's doing that using our built-in plugin for on Event House. And now it's embedding and ingesting these explanations, and also doing that using built-in plugin that we have in an Event House. And again, task completed successfully, and it's summarizing whatever it did with some more information for what it did. So I was able to prepare my data for AI, get some good examples for my LLM to use whenever it needs to. So the next thing I want to do is get back to my original question, and let's see if now, using that table, it's able to get me the answer to what I was looking for. So now I'm asking it to go back to the original question, but the only change is that I'm asking it to see if maybe one of the examples that I added onto the team shot, that table, can help him get to the answer that I was looking for. Now, the first thing it's doing is getting a get shot, which essentially takes a look at the question itself that I was looking for and finding a query from the shots table that is similar to what I was asking. And it was able to find the right query, execute, you craft a query from it, and sorry, it went a little bit back, and get me the answer to what I was looking for. Now, let's say I want to see the query that I ran, maybe visualize it. I'm asking it to give me the query he ran. I got the copy button. I just hit copy, and then I can navigate to my event house on Fabric, paste the query itself, execute it, and then I get back the visualization of what I was looking for. Cool, so we saw how we could use our real-time intelligence to talk to our data, and how we did that. We saw a demo on Kusto Detective Agency. And then what do we do when the data is there, but the LLM is not able to get to the answer that I was looking for? And how do we prepare our data for AI with just a single prompt to get the LLM to understand how to build the right queries on my data? Now I want to talk about another product that we have is the integration with a data agent. A data agent is an artifact within Fabric that allows you to use natural language and query multiple data sources at just one place. Let's say you have your data spread across multiple types of data sources, whether it be Event House or the One Lake, and you want to ask a question and let it just find the right answer, either from Event House or the One Lake. And then it also allows you to configure example queries and AI instructions. And hey, do you remember how we prepared our data for AI using the RTIMCP? So we could do exactly that using the example queries here and the AI instructions. And Event House is a data source that's integrated into the data agents. Okay, so let's see a demo for that. So here I have my data agent artifact on Fabric. I've already hooked it up to my Event House on the left side. You can see it has 3 tables connected to it. Now, the first thing you want to do, if you already know the question you're asking is on a specific table, just deselect the other tables. It will improve the answer because the data agent will have less data to look at. So here I'm going to ask my question on the game events. I'm deselecting the other tables, and my question is, what's the most common event for country code? Now, I was looking into the data and into the table that I selected in the question. And what I like about it is that it knows to also tell me that it's not able to get me the answer to what I'm looking for. And it looks like it thinks that the information is missing for what I'm looking for. Now, me as a data engineer, I'm familiar with the data, and I know that such questions can be answered if you knew how to look at the data. And let's say I want to make sure that my data agent that I build is available for such questions for my consumers, right? So what can I do? And that's what I'm going to show you. So the first thing you can do is we can prepare it for AI, very similarly to what we did with the RTIMCP, where we prepared the data for AI. I'm going to show you this here. But before we do that, I'm just going to show you a little bit the data so that we understand what's going on. So I'm going to go to my event house. I'm going to do a take 10 on the game events. And you can see that I get one column event data, which is essentially a dynamic JSON. But inside it, the 2 properties that I'm looking for, the event name and the country code. So what I can do is I can navigate to the data agent back, and then I can either use the AI instructions, or I can use the example queries, which is just, preparing the data for AI. So what I can do is I can teach it how to parse such information out of that event data column. So I'm going to add an example query. And my question will be, what are the country codes in the events of the game? And then the query here that I'm going to add shows you how to parse that information from the event data so that the LLM will know how to extract such properties from the game events table. Now, the next thing I'm doing is I'm just going to close that. And the only thing I'm going to do is just type, please try again. No, it's looking into the information, has already the context of the question that I asked, and it also has the queries that I added. And as you can see this time, it's able to get me the answer to what I'm looking for. All right, so to sum up, we looked at the data agent artifact and how we can ask questions, how we can hook up an event house data source to it, and also how can we use it to prepare our event house for AI, for my consumers to be able to ask questions that at first maybe the LLM could not have done. And how do we use the example queries to do that? Okay, so the next thing I want to show you is the real-time dashboard creation with Copilot. So this feature is a pretty cool one because it just requires one click, and then using that you can generate real-time dashboards. It's pretty cool because if you're not familiar with dashboards and you're not sure how to do that, it's a really good thing to try out because it's just generating a dashboard for you to start playing with and editing maybe later. So that's one thing. The other thing is that if you also have a table that you want to understand a bit more about the data, so that is also a nice feature to use because you don't add any natural language. You just with one click generate the dashboard and get some insights on top of that without you asking anything. Um, so no technical knowledge required whatsoever, no KQL knowledge or anything like that. Copilot is generating using the LLM to generate dashboard. So let's see a demo for that. So I'm going to start with the real-time hub here. And as you can see here, I have the visuals data. I have an option to observe data in a real-time dashboard. So I'm going to click that. And with just one click, I can choose a data source. I'm gonna choose the bike stream data source. And with that single click, what the Copilot is doing is it's generating the prompt, fetching the schema of that table, and then using all that to create a dashboard for me to just take a look at. So this is a generated dashboard. You can see it already added two parameters by itself, time range, added multiple tiles, average number of bicycles by neighborhood, average number of empty docks, um, top bike points number of records, and daily average number of bikes. The other page that we have, which is more deterministic, shows a little bit more information about the data. The data that has been ingested, you can see a histogram of that, a sample of the data. And I also have information about the schema itself, and I can do cross-filtering on each column here to get the sense of what's the lowest, highest unique values, some sample data, and play around with it and understand a little bit more about the data itself. Um, so yeah, that's a pretty cool feature to try. Feel free to give it a try. Again, with just a single click, you're able to generate a dashboard and get some insights. Okay, so the next feature I want to talk about is called Explore Data. Explore Data is part of a dashboard. On the tiles, you have the option to click on Explore Data and really try to explore the tiles data to understand a bit more about what happened. And it allows you to obtain rapid insights on your real-time data and view visualizations, and it requires no technical expertise as the previous features. Just simple natural language, no KQL query needed. And we're also planning on adding some direct manipulations on the visualizations themselves and adding some insights on the data. So I'd like to show you a demo. Here I'm going to start with a dashboard. The dashboard it contains data of passenger volume in an airport. So as you can see, I have multiple tiles. Each tile has that hover of explore data on it that I can use to investigate a little bit more what's happening. So here I see a peak on the passenger volume, and I want to investigate a little bit why that happened. I want to understand a little bit how that happened and why. So I'm going to ask it to show the total passenger volume per counter because, maybe one of the counters I can see has that issue. So I got back a table, not very, not much information I could get. So I'm asking it to make it a descending bar chart so I can see it visually what's going on behind the scenes. So I got the answer. I can click on the view answer, then I get an enlarger, and you can see here that I have 3 counters actually causing this peak of the passenger volume. Now let's say I want to see which flights might be delayed because of these counters, and what types of upcoming flights do I have on these counters. I'm going to ask it add a column for each counter for the list of upcoming flights. I got back the same visualization when I click on the view answer, but I also thankfully have that table option, which I can click on to get the actual results. And you can see here the upcoming flights themselves that potentially can be delayed. So the other nice thing that I can use is the query tab here that shows me the query itself that was used to generate the visualization. And this gives me a way to, kind of review what the Copilot is doing behind the scenes and review its thought process and improve if needed. All right, so that was the list of features, products that we have around Event House, real-time intelligence, and AI. So to summarize, we looked at the RTIMCP and how we can use it to use natural language to just talk to your data and also prepare your data for AI. We looked at the data engine integration and how Event House is integrated as a data source there. And we looked at the explore data. That's an option to look into tiles in dashboards and investigate and understand a little bit more about, get some insights from it. And we talked about the one-click dashboard Copilot generation, which gives you more information about a certain table and allows you to just generate a dashboard with a one click. So I hope that was useful, and I hope you will guys give it a try yourself. And we're really keen on getting feedback from you. So feel free to give it a try and let us know how we did.